It's the only person below White Holiday in the Comicsgate phone book. It's my favorite failed clone of Peter Sammetti. The YouTube how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to WyzGyz Entertainment. This is your host, Wyman. We are joined today by an awesome guest returning to the channel. Adam, how's it going, man?
Dude, it is going so great. Thanks for having me back on, Wyman. I super appreciate it. I love being here. I always love that intro you have, the failed clone of Peter Sammetti. I love that because I was just on last night with Peter Sammetti on Pop XP. You know, he's got the new Alterna line, and I just think the world of the guy. I think he's just one of the most legit guys, and so it just makes me chuckle. That's a good person. I even take being a failed clone of Peter Sammetti. He's a cool enough guy that it's like I'll take the failed clone version. I get that.
Yeah, I get that. Peter's awesome. He's huge around here. Yeah. So good to have you again. Always a pleasure. As you know, since you've been here before, I'd like to start with the like a recap of your quote unquote origin story.
I like it.
Also because it's been a little bit of time since we've last had you.
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of going through what you were into when you were younger and what were the major milestones that led you to becoming an independent creator?
Yeah, so when I was a kid, I was really into Dungeons and Dragons. I loved that. I did Dungeons and Dragons at theater, and it wasn't until I was, probably about 12, 13 years old that I first started to think comic books were cool because I thought they were kind of just like kind of dopey guys in underwear. I was like, I don't understand how people think this is cool until I saw Jim Lee's X-Men, right? And it was really Jim Lee's art that said, oh, wait, superheroes can look cool. These guys are tough and they got muscles. And Cyclops has these cool sunglasses instead of this like dopey thing over his head. And it really sort of did that for me. So, and then it was like Barry Windsor Smith's Weapon X, which was that series was just like game changing for me as just how primal and the art and the design. If you remember, we had that red visor with the helmet and all the different machines hanging on him, and it was just such an incredible, visceral book. And that kind of that took me in. So like to myself, I have a soft spot in my heart for Jim Lee, no matter where he stands in this business. At various times, I have a soft spot for him because I owe him that. And about a block from my house, there's a statue of Batman. Right, because I'm in Burbank, where DC is.
Statue.
Yeah. And so I'm right next to the Batman black and white statue. It's just right down the street from my house. I walk to it every morning when I walk the dog and my baby. And so, so there's a special place there. And then it was, later I was working on Snakes on a Plane. So people don't know I'm a television showrunner. So I write and direct television. And at the time I was coming up in the ranks and I was working on Snakes on a Plane music video, and Sam Jackson came to set. And he was reading 100 Bullets by Brian Azzarello. And I remember looking at that being like, wait a minute, if that's cool enough for Sam Jackson, then it's going to be cool enough for me, right? Like he sets the bar as the top. So if it's cool enough for him, I'll take that. So I went to the comic book shop and I picked up Brian Azzarello's 100 Bullets. And it blew my mind. And it really opened up the door of books outside of superhero stories. And I realized it's what expanded me to like, wait. It's what got me exploring Image Comics. It's got me exploring, the sort of the multitude of graphic novels and stories that were outside of Caped Crusaders. And that kind of began my journey of like, actually, I'm having more fun and more excited by stories that are outside of superheroes. Not that there's anything wrong with those, but personally, I was more engaged by them. And so that's what got me kind of on this indie track. And then I think, I've been, directing television and writing television all these years in Hollywood, and I love it. Still do it now. And, but the pandemic hit and I launched a graphic novel called The Eighth, which I'd been working on for years. It's this cool hardcover, 224 page, it's a slipcase beautiful graphic novel called The Eighth.
Yeah,
And you can see here, right? And this is a graphic novel I've been working on for a couple of years. And you can see it's this beautiful piece, and it was really, a story in my heart. And I launched it right at the beginning of the pandemic when I felt like, man, because my TV shows all got canceled, everything fell apart in Hollywood. It was like you couldn't believe it. And it's what, ever since this and working on independent comic books, it's created such an exciting world for me because I get to build these stories outside of a studio system. And like here's a prime example. I was writing a series for Netflix. I was on it for about 8 months. It was an interactive series. It was really cool. And then they just shelved it on me because interactive was changing their direction, right? It was a series they brought me to, and it was like, man, it was 8 months working with this, writing and writing and writing, only to have it shelved. And that's part of our business. It's not evil or mean, but the fact that you could go home and work on a graphic novel that was your own, it didn't have any of those complications of big business, was really satisfying, and in many ways made it easy to get through those because you're like, oh, that's okay, you can cancel this. I got my own thing, And at that time, I was working on The Kill Journal, my second graphic novel, which is on the boat from China, which Wyman is a major fan of. So this is a beautiful faux leather and debossed book. You can see it's got all these cool symbols etched into it. It's got this gold foiling in it, and Jason Krager is my artist on this, and he did some really spectacular pages here. And there's also these mini stories in it. There's 4 dossier mini stories in it that have 4 different writers, 4 different artists that explore the backstories of the main heroes. It was a nice way to get people the history, but without derailing the main plot line and keeping it, action packed. And at the core of it, it's a horror story of people trying to survive trauma. And in this case, the trauma is surviving a slasher attack. And what do they do with their lives afterwards? And in this case, they go for revenge.
Yeah,
and so, cool. All right. And there's a beautiful print in it. And
up here.
This is Preston. It's a video did this. And it's colored by Mike Spicer, who's one of my favorite colorists. He did Wonder Woman, Dead Earth. He did Murder Falcon. I think he's my favorite colorist. One of my favorite colorists in the industry. He's so special. And he's is doing my new book, Kids and Monsters. And so that was a really exciting time with the Kill Journal, was to meet different artists and creators. Mm-hmm. And then, starting a new pathway with some of the artists. Like Maxi Dallo did a 6-page story in this. And now he's doing my new book. And it's really a nice way to work with other artists and then branch off with them. So, that's kind of been the origin story in a nutshell, Wyman, like from television, to comics, we're still staying in television, and there's a couple of the books. And, maybe someday one of these comics gets to come back into the film world with me. But if it never does, that's okay, because I'm not building these as IP for a movie. They're their own special thing, right? Like I read comics every night. I love them. And, as I'm going to go to sleep. And I don't need them to become a movie for me to have enjoyed the book, right?
Right.
And so, I think that there's something really great about reading the comic. And that's Adam Lawson's origin story in this world that we're in here, of indie comic making, Wyman.
When you were when you were writing The Eighth, did you for a moment consider showing it to DC and Marvel to see if they'd pick it up, or did you from the get-go know that you wanted to self-publish?
Well, at the time, I said, you know what? I'd been seeing comics, and I backed a few comics that have been crowdfunded on Indiegogo and Kickstarter. I didn't know anything about comics here. I didn't know anything about anything at the early stages, as nobody does, right? Because you're just going to comic shops, and then you don't even know anything about it. Mm-hmm. And so, at the time, I thought, oh, great, I could get this book crowdfunded, and I chose Indiegogo because that was the platform I crowdfunded season 3 of one of my TV shows called Will Wheaton's Tabletop. Google had financed the first 2 seasons, and then they abandoned the show, but the fans wanted it. So we did a crowdfunder and we raised a couple $1 million and did season 3 of Will Wheaton's Tabletop. And so Indiegogo was really, really great with us. They offered us a better deal than Kickstarter and some other things. And so I just naturally went there just because they'd been treated me great in the past, right? Mm-hmm. And how I found myself there. And so I don't know that I ever had a vision of it being on Marvel or DC because I didn't even know how to get into it. I tried submitting it to Image a couple times.
Okay.
I thought, but I never heard back from them. The Kill Journal got an official denial letter from Image Comics, and this was, got an official denial. And I said for both of them, I sent them actual, a full first issue to look at. So it's a fully completed, not an experiment. And for the 8th, when I launched the campaign, I had 5 of the 8 issues done that make up this book, right? When I started. So it's a monster of a book. And so, and I thought, well, I guess that's the place you publish them, because I didn't know any better really, or didn't know any other options. But then as I taking the journey, I realized, you know what? I've set up my new shop. I set up a Shopify store at giftedrebels.com. Nice. And, we overorder the books massively so that we can continue to sell them and keep things in print. Now there's special things to just the campaign for sure. But, and those early backers, need and deserve that. But to keep these things alive and in print, and to build your own small publishing company. And when you start to realize, with the 8th, I paid for a lot of ads on Facebook. So a lot of the people who came in to back that book were like people like, I've never bought a graphic novel in my life, and cool. But I'm interested in this. And so there was a lot of people who were just fresh to it, right? And and so it was really a cool thing, Wyman, to see that there is actually, I think, a big crowd of people out there who aren't going into comic book shops. Mm-hmm. And then they're never gonna find it on a comic book shelf, right? Because they're never going into one of those shops. But you could find through, Instagram, Facebook ads, and you can connect with people who want something also too, and you don't even know really how to react to floppies, right? They don't even know what you would do with that. But like, oh, this kind of a package, I know what I can do with that. I can buy it, I can read it, and put it on my coffee table. It fits on my shelf. It's cool to show people. Was kind of my initial thought was to make something that was great for collectors, people like you and me, right? I'm like you. I want the cool collector something of the other, right? And then also to build something for people who maybe aren't in comic book shops, but because I think that maybe a little bit of here in the West is like comic book shops became kind of a niche thing, not because they're bad. My guy who runs my local comic shop, great guy, just they kind of became a niche thing, right? And even though there's plenty of people who would like to read a graphic novel if it got presented in the right way.
Mm-hmm. Is that what prompted you to go with leather-bound? Or was there other reasons behind it?
Yeah, so with the 8th, I wanted to, instead of like doing a simple, just perfect balance something, I said, you know what, let's do something that feels like it's worth backing in a campaign, right? Especially because they don't know me, right? I'm not Aaron Lopresti. I'm not Sean Gordon Murphy, right? I don't have a relationship as a comic book creator. But if I gave them something really special in the packaging, maybe it would give them a motive because it had special packaging that they could only get this way, was my initial thought. Because that's the kind of books I like to back, right? I like to back something, it was somehow special. So that was the initial motive. And then once I set it in motion the first time, I was committed to it, right? And I got such great feedback from it. And now the backers who've been getting it, all the posts, because the 8th is delivered and has been delivered for several months. And then, when people like John Hervey, I think John, right?
Name vaguely sounds familiar. I'm not sure.
He did Black Tiger and Magna.
All right. Yeah. I keep calling him John from Beyond.
Yeah, John from Beyond Time Comics. It's totally right. So he came to Los Angeles doing something, and he and I had lunch, and I showed him the book, and it's like he's like, oh man, and he gets to hold it and feel it, and you're like, and you realize that experience is special, right? And hopefully I can give that to people, right? Because making the print version having some meaning. So, So anyway, so that's what kept motivating me, Wyman, to do some sort of special cover or something.
Cool. Welcome, Eric the Guapo. Yo, Adam.
Eric.
That slip cover was nice.
Thank you, Eric. Eric's one of the good guys. Eric is truly one of the good guys.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome. So did you want to take a moment to discuss more about your latest update on Kill Journal, the fulfillment?
Yeah. So if anybody has backed this book, what crushes me is that it should have been in the mail to you Monday of this week, and unfortunately the boat got the crew on the boat, because I put them in China. Their printing capabilities there at those printers can get you this beautiful thing at a realistic price. Unfortunately, they got COVID. It got held up in Singapore. It's become my living nightmare. Now it's not leaving Singapore till October 4th. So I should be able to get it out to people in November by the time it gets here to Los Angeles. So that's a bit of a bummer. However, anybody who backed the mask, you're going to get your mask before Halloween, so you can wear it on Halloween. Because it's been 1 year since you backed it last Halloween, you get to finally wear it. And also anybody who added on the 8th to the Kill Journal, you should have received your book. So that way I want to say, hey guys, it's all real. It's all happening. And I felt so bad because I'm now launching a new campaign while this one is not in your hands. And but then it would push me to then not doing this until maybe February, because who wants a campaign during Christmas? It's absurd, right? So after going back and forth on it, it's like, hey guys, I promise you're going to be so happy. Trust me. I hope.
Yeah, that was probably a good move on your part, to get the product out as fast as you can and keep everyone aware of any delays. So that I was very pleased to get that, the 8th, and I'm looking forward to the mask and the Kill Journal too, especially. And now you've got this new campaign going on.
That's right. This is in pre-launch right now. It's coming in just a couple of weeks, actually. Kids and Monsters. And this is the tale of a small group of teenagers whose parents a divorce is looming, and they get sucked into this ancient war between beasts and monsters that mirrors their own struggles at home. And inside backpacks, they find monsters that are going to help them on this quest, in the same way genies live in lamps, right? And at my stories I try to combine two things. One thing that is what is the emotional story, right? And it's the story of is children trying to survive their parents' potential divorce, right? And how frightening that is for a young teenager when your world is about ready to be ripped in half, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it seems outside of your control. And then adding a supernatural element to it. And it's this idea of these red beasts. If you scroll down the page, you can see a few of them here. You can see these are the red beasts. And that's one of their leaders on the human side. They're trying to rip the world and the world within. So in this mythology, there's two worlds, right? And they're breaking these 6 seals that will then rip the two worlds apart. And these kids are caught in the middle of it because they can see the cracks in the world. So when these seals get broken, more cracks form in the world. And these kids can see it. And they are then pulled into this war. And because they can see the cracks, the red beasts need to get rid of them so they can't stop them. And then if you keep scrolling down there, you can see that these are a couple of the monsters. Because in the world within, the monsters are sworn to protect the two worlds and to keep the bond together. And so in this world, monsters have keeps, or like keep is like a castle, right?
Yeah.
But in this instance, their keeps are backpacks.
Oh.
And so kind of like in Dungeons and Dragons when you have a sack of holding, right? And you have a little sack, but you step inside and it's really a big world. And so these backpacks actually house these monsters. And the monsters are sworn to protect the two worlds and are here to help the kids. But the monsters that the kids find are always perfectly suited for who they are. In this case, this is Jin Soo. This is Mally, the teenage girl, her boyfriend, who gets pulled along the adventure. And he's a serious video gamer. And his monster, he controls the joystick and does Hapkido. And then this monster you can see on the right is Gren. And this is Gatsby, our main character's monster. He's a math head, a smart kid, Rubik's Cube master. And this monster makes potions, right? He's like his power. He's like a bit of an alchemist. And then Mally, the girl, she's plagued with all this anger that she can't figure out what to do with, right? Which is pretty common for children whose parents are fighting, right? This anger they don't know how to manage. And so her monster that she ultimately gets is this ogre berserker, right? That's reflective of her own struggles.
Is her beast not reflected in these previews?
Yeah, let me show you. In fact, it is. If you want to, I'll show you right now here. Let me show you. So I can share screen here with you.
Right on.
Let's see. You can see here, this is her monster, right? And along the way, they also pick up some weapons that once belonged to this great warrior. His name's Torhild, and he's who civilized the monsters and made the oath with them to protect the world. And that hammer was one of his many weapons that they uncover that helped the kids out too. And her monster's name is Rage. And she's always exploding with anger and ready to fight. And Mally, her character, when we see her first thing, she's getting in a fist fight with another girl at school because this other girl is claiming her mother is doing things she shouldn't. And that's why her parents' marriage is collapsing and she doesn't want to face it. So she's hiding behind anger. So that's Mally's monster. And then you can see here, let me show you this here.
Be sure everyone to get in on that sign up list.
Yeah, so there's going to be a cool thing about the sign up list. So here's the book. You can see it. I hope you can see it. Oh, there it is. So this is the 3D built to the specs. It's going to be A4 sized. So it's going to be an oversized book. It's going to be bigger, an inch and a half bigger on each side. It's going to be hardcover. Okay. So once again, it's going to feel a little bit more like the European comics that are bigger in scope. And so when you open those pages, you're going to feel completely immersed in it, right? Small panels become big, and it's something I've really enjoyed and wanted to implement in a book. And you can see this amazing art by Maxi Dallow and the colors by Mike Spicer, who is just incredible. And these are the beautiful, this is the world within down here. And these are, the kids getting attacked. But it's an oversized experience, right? Hardcover. It makes it worth something really special. There's also going to be a line art version of the book as well.
Oh, all right.
Because I'm a fan. I don't know if you are, YG, but I love line art versions, especially when the artist is like this. So it was Maxi, who is a traditional artist, and you can even see, I'm show you some of the pages.
I dig line art too, line art variants.
Right? It's such a fun thing. Let me show you here. Stop sharing. Let me share this guy.
Do you say this is going to be hardcover?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be hardcover. It's going to be oversized hardcover. You can see the lines popping up.
Oh, all right. Here we go.
You can see these are Maxi's beautiful lines, right?
Oh, wow.
And it's cool to see. He's a traditional artist. And so when traditional artists work, especially someone with this kind of detail and flavor in his lines, it's like I wanted to be able to experience the story that way. I'm often the guy who backs the line art version, right? Because I really enjoy what that feels like.
Sure.
You can see these incredible pages. It's a 72-page book. We're many pages into it already. That are, in fact, I have more than 22 fully lettered and ready to rock. In fact, I can even show you some of the cool.
So you got a nice head start on this.
Yeah, we're way into it. My plan is that we should hopefully be done by the end of December, so that we can realistically get this thing turned around, a nice way. And so I'm going to pull up a few of these letter pages so you get a chance to take a peek.
No spoilers.
No spoilers on this, right?
So if it's not a spoiler or anything, these monsters that come out of their backpacks, are they like legit real monsters, or are they like imaginary?
They're legit monsters.
Okay. All right.
So the idea is the world, I think Pan's Labyrinth, it's a film, but I think it gives a good example, right, where she goes off into that mystical world and there's monsters, except in our tale, in that one, it kind of alludes that they were all in her head, but in this one, they're not. They are real monsters.
Cool.
Yeah. Real monsters, real battles, a tangible thing. This is, all the lettering is me. And I've been working hard on my lettering and my Clip Studio skills. And, I've been trying to do much more roto work in the lettering. So we integrate them. As you can see here, I cut out the art and then slip the lettering behind it. So the sound effects, feel more integrated into the pages.
Oh yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
Right.
I love what you do with the chomp.
Right. And you can see and that there's something fun about doing that with the pages, that they feel really alive. And I think that lettering, at least for myself as a writer, because I draw the layouts and they're ugly, real ugly. And I send them to Maxie with the script and he turns them into something really special. But it makes your book experience hand-on. And then when you letter it at the end, Wyman, I would recommend that any writer in the indie scene gets to become a good letterer, because it gives you an opportunity to rewrite your book again, but visually, because I draw my own layout so I can figure out where I'm putting balloons, how the story is being told. Then the artist is going to make some changes and make it better and improve some angles and etc. Don't get me wrong. I often say to them, if you have something better, please do it. But I'm presenting it in how I saw it, so it would tell the story, I think, in the best way. But you may have a better plan. But then what happens is you start to see the pages, you start to see the emotion on the faces once the real art comes in, right? Mm-hmm. And so you can tweak your dialogue a little bit. You can shrink this sentence here. You can say, I don't need to say all that. Or maybe I don't need to say something here. Or I need to say a little bit more here, because actually in the art, it didn't communicate exactly what I was hoping. And if I just add a sentence or two, it'll solve that. So it's a really nice way to become your own. By being your own letterer, you can control a portion of it. And also, too, you can design your own fonts and your own styling for the sound of your words, so that it carries the meaning that you had hoped, right? Mm-hmm. And like a lot of these, like if you can see like that crunch, I hand draw those, right? It's not a font. It's just, you're drawing lots of these, most of these are all hand drawn. The different, all the sound effects you can see, or the words there outside of bubbles, are all hand drawn. There's no font. And so it's a nice way for you to, connect to your work in a really special way. And it's another way where you as the writer aren't stopped by something, right? Like you can, once you get pages back, you can do the rest. And then I do my pre-press as well too, and InDesign, and I can build them and deliver them to print. And so you're really, a large part of it is more of it's in your hands versus just hoping, right? So
nice.
That's my soapbox about the value of lettering. And Clip Studio.
It looks like you're having loads of fun with the lettering stuff.
I'm having so much fun with it. And the thing about it is Clip Studio, where I do the lettering, is a $50 program. You can learn it through YouTube videos, through $15 classes, through Udemy. And it's not hard to learn. It's more about practice and doing it. And you can build it all vector based. It has it's for $50. I don't think I've ever had a program this powerful for $50. I don't know that there is. and I have the Adobe suite for everything else, video editing, Photoshop, and I do use those as well. But Clip Studio is such a special comic book tool, and for $50 all in, then you're done.
Sure.
You can learn it,
Hell, I even picked it up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've got it too. Welcome, Dory. Hello, gents.
Hey, Dory. How are you?
Oh man, that's nice. That's looking
yeah.
good.
So you're seeing the pages of it, and then there's one last thing to share.
Yeah.
So part of the reason I'm saying, hey, jump on the pre-launch is I hope it's exciting for you, and you choose to back the book, and it's the right story for you. Because I get that not every story is the right story for you, even if you like the creator or you like comics. Not everything is for everyone. But hopefully it connects with you. But to encourage you to say, hey, sign up and jump in and back, there is a ash can which deals with this other story named Nail and Goo. So there's other things in the world universe of kids and monsters, and there are other scary things inside the town of Lovelock. And so there is, let me get these, pull up these real quick.
Is the ultimate goal to have all your titles be in the same universe?
You got it.
All right.
You got it. So these are here. I'm going to show you some early pages. So if you can imagine in the 8th, they're in a corner of Lovelock. And in Kill Journal, that's where St. George's Church is located at, and Kids and Monsters is set in Lovelock. It's kind of like Castle Rock for Stephen King. But if you can see here, these are some early line art for the ash can about a monster named Nail, right? This is Nail. And it's called Nail and Goo because Goo is a Korean girl's name. And she finds him when he's a child and she's a child. His organic spaceship has crashed, and she finds him and befriends him, and they grow up together. And she's going off to college, and he's starting to lose her in his life, and he doesn't know how to fit in this world, much like E.T. didn't. And he doesn't know his place, and he's always listening to self-help tapes on his little Walkman. And he's called Nail because he can eat and consume anything as part of his power, and he has these organic entrapments. He can work with plants, and he can consume anything. And so he started eating nails. He ate a nail in front of her as a kid, and that's where the nickname came from. So he's kind of always snacking on them. But he's, a big monster who doesn't know how to fit in the world. And then somebody from his past shows back up, and he then has to fight for his life and his place on Earth. And so that's a cool ash can. This is a campaign exclusive. This one won't appear later in the Shopify store. The only way to get it is here through the campaign. And if you're on the pre-launch list and you sign up, there'll be a secret perk link, and you'll get it for free.
Nice.
Yep.
That's looking good too. Holy moly. Do you have the same team working on it?
No, so this is a different artist. His name is Magnaz. He's doing lines and colors. He's my painter from my board game world. So if you can see, I have this cool RPG. I also do, as you know, I do board games as well. This one's called Asunder. It's this beautiful book, and he does a lot of my art in this book.
Oh, nice.
And then also here's him. He did another cover.
That's nice.
So he's a true painter as well as a comic artist, and he and I have been talking for years about doing a comic book, and this was the story that he and I decided to partner on with it. So he'll be doing all the art, lines and colors, and I'll do all the lettering, layouts, writing, and pre-press like I do. And I can't wait to get into that world with him as well. And it's a nice little attachment to Kids and Monsters. It doesn't supersede it, but it's a fun nugget, and there'll be more to come with that story as well.
Oh, wow. Nice. Wow. Oh, real quick on the board game. Did you literally write out everything, all the copy? Did you come up with all the rules and
so this is
from scratch?
let me show you. This game is a real thing. So this is there's a novel set in the world that we had written.
All right, there we go.
There's a novel we had set in the world. We have let me show you. Sorry, I didn't prep these quite for this, but then there's 2 books, right? There is the this is for the dungeon masters, or this what we call them, the keepers, right? And so so I worked with a game designer named Rob Schwab, who worked on Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, and a writer, Brian Engard, who wrote Fate Core. And but I created the world of it, art directed it all, and then edited, proofed, read, and worked through much of it over the course of several years. And then here's the minis.
Oh, yeah. Those are so cool.
Right? You can see. So,
wait, is that is that box for the minis plus the books?
This is just minis. Because the minis are big.
Oh, dang. Oh, sweet.
Right? And then there's a few smaller ones.
So cool.
Right?
Are these made of a resin? Or is it...
They're PVC.
PVC, okay.
Yeah, they're PVC. So they're sturdier than a resin. Not saying that you can run over them with something, but they are a PVC. They can last. They can be dropped. They really stand the test of time. And so this is just one of the packages. So you can imagine this is part of it.
Whoa!
There's an adventure module.
Yeah. And
there's even this screen for they call them the dungeon, a keeper's screen, which has all a lot of the rules in shorthand. So you can set this up. You know what I mean?
Okay. Right? All right.
So and you can make your dice rolls behind it so people can't see.
I remember.
And so
see those now that.
Yeah, and then there's the two source books. So this was a significant undertaking. This project.
Dang.
That was a significant undertaking. Yeah.
How long did that project take?
All in 6 years.
Whoa.
Not full time, but it took about 6 years to get it done and to print. And it's also coming on a boat from China and is on its way to the States.
Was that project broken out into multiple crowdfunding campaigns?
No, that was one campaign. You could get that whole set, the books, the whole package. It did really well. We had about 1,200 backers on it.
Nice, nice.
And it's still going live. We have an active Discord group that talks about it. People have been playing it on streams, and the digital versions have already been released, and it's really exciting to see.
That must be exciting to see. I mean, it must be a kick to see people, people you don't even know playing your game on streams.
It is. It's humbling, and sometimes they bring up questions you don't even know the answer to, even though you made it and you spent years with it, and it's really exciting to see, and it's a magical, wonderful way for indie IP or indie stories and worlds to be brought to life is through games, right? And tabletop gaming is affordable. Video gaming is much more expensive and probably outside of the range of the average person to build something that you love. But tabletop gaming is realistic. I spent a lot of time directing celebrity board game shows with Will Wheaton. And so I had a lot of experience in that side of the world. And it's great to see, to see somebody playing your game is humbling. And just it's just in the same way as when somebody read your comic book, you're like, it blows your mind, Even with Escape Tonight, my TV show that, is nearest and dearest to my heart, that I wrote and directed all 40 episodes of it, all 4 seasons, and she was the showrunner. And even though hundreds of millions of people watched it, it has multiples of hundreds of millions of views. Anytime I meet a fan, I'm always like, oh, you watched it. You know what I mean? You watched it. It blows your mind that anybody would like your stuff. So
that's so cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
On Kids and Monsters is coming. You're planning on going live October 12th then?
Yep. I'll be on Bancroft's stream.
Oh.
We're going to launch early that morning, and it's very excited, to reach out to backers of my games and my comics. Because see, with some of my games, the Escape the Night board game, a lot of the fans were young, and something like the Kill Journal is the wrong thing, and wasn't able to quite promote to them. At least I didn't feel good about it, because an R-rated something to 14-year-olds is, I don't know, that's not for me. It's the wrong thing to do. But with Kids and Monsters, it's much, the age range is much broader. Mm-hmm. And so I'm excited for some of the younger fans of my past work and shows to be able to sink their teeth into a comic. So
yeah, I think one thing
I hope they do, at least.
I think one thing we could use more of is more all ages content.
Yeah, this certainly falls into that. Yeah.
Nice. A2K Studio says, nice campaign, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, man.
By October 12th, when you go live, do you anticipate the entire book being completed, or do you think you'll have a certain percentage done? What's your goal?
No, I wish. Yeah, I wish. I'm probably going to be halfway through it at that point. And then imagine 2 more months of campaign time, and then about 3 weeks of waiting for the funds to come in. Mm-hmm. So, probably by the end of the year, the plan is to be complete with it. Maxie's working full time on it. And we're going to do like we did with the other books, where the way it's going to work out this time, actually, if you get the digital, so anybody who backs up print version also gets a digital. Right. And there's also a digital only version, except that experience is through Substack. You follow my Substack and you'll get an issue each month after the campaign starts to end. And so I'm going to be releasing the digital pages through Substack only first, and then also when the issues are ready, they're going to just drop to all the print backers. So there won't be any delay. The campaign will end, and you'll start getting issues of this until right away. So my hope is that by the time you've gotten 3 months have gone on, you've gotten those issues that will be through printing and be on our way back.
And is Kids and Monsters intend to be an ongoing series?
Yeah, so this is volume 1. This is just volume 1, and there's much more to explore. So
nice.
Yeah.
Did you, since the book is about kids, did you draw on your experience growing up?
I think what it was, I have 25 nieces and nephews.
Wow.
And so I've spent, and that's kind of where the inspiration of it came for, was thinking about them. And I actually made a storytelling game up when I was visiting one of my sisters in Colorado. And that storytelling game we played, where they found monsters in their backpacks, is what became Kids and Monsters. And I loved this idea of these kids facing the whole world, right? And their help, and those to help them were monsters. And so it really reflects, some of my own childhood, but much of my nieces and nephews, and the times I've had with them, and their thoughts and questions. And then I thought, how do I make it have real stakes? And I think one of the things that creates stakes for children in a really serious way is a looming divorce, right? Because it's frightening to have your world destroyed. Sure. And a lot of people know that experience and can connect with it, or certainly know people who have.
Oh, for sure, yeah. World of Kids and Monsters has many secrets. Sign up here to get the exclusive 8.5 by 5.5 inch mini comic free. The secret perk for pre-launch folks, only available during the campaign. Yes.
That is the ash can, which I said mini comic because I think when I first did it, as I was sending it out, and some people were like, I don't understand what an ash can is. People who aren't very familiar with comic books.
Right.
And so they were like, I don't actually know what that is.
For a while, I never knew what it was either. So I finally found out.
Yeah, and so And so it was just like, all right, we should, let me just kind of give this, let me be as simple with it as can. There's a mini comic.
Right.
You know what I mean? There is this thing called a mini comic, and here's what this is. Just, and I get it, because if you're not a collector, but you still should be able to enjoy it, right? So,
Oh, for sure.
hence there it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you decided what kind of goal you're going to set for the campaign?
I have. So, and I've calculated what I still owe on it and what it's going to take to print it. Right. So I'll put a goal that will get me through it and get it delivered to people. As I always try to do is put a funding goal that means I don't have to go into any more debt, right? Even though you're partway in, but that will finish me out and get it delivered. And then the real hope is that, the campaign does incredibly well and you can pay off all your debt on it. And that there's a chance to make money, which I'll probably end up just dumping into volume 2, as it goes, because I love it so much. But that's the, that's how I perceive my numbers, right? It's like, I try not to just create an arbitrary, great, I need $3,000. Like, that's just an arbitrary number, right? It's like, what's the actual number rounded to a 0, so it's easy for audience members. You're going to need to print 1,000 copies or print 500 copies, ship them, and finish paying your artist. Okay, that's my minimum, right?
Right. So, is it going to be fixed or flexible?
No, it'll be fixed. It'll be fixed. Yeah, if you can imagine, the 8th, I had a $17,500 goal, and we met it. The Kill Journal had a 10, and those are all factored on what was left to do and to print and ship. And so,
cool.
Yeah.
Good on. Do you plan either later in the pre-launch or when you go live on having a trailer?
Yes, in fact, I have the trailer, and it's going to go on the pre-launch tomorrow. I was kind of saving it for when do I release this? And as part of me was thinking, maybe I should save the trailer for the launch day. What's your take on it, Wyman? Is it best to save it for the launch day to give people something fresh to look at? What's your take?
You can go either way. I mean, I think it in part depends on whether you plan on having multiple. Like, if you plan on having a teaser, maybe another teaser, and then a trailer, and maybe, yeah. It kind of depends on if you plan on doing teasers and trailers, or if you want to.
I just have one trailer. It's 53 seconds. I just have one trailer. It's 53 seconds. I
personally like them. I mean,
I think they're meaningful. Yeah.
I like seeing them on pre-launch pages as well as on the main campaign. Some people do like 2 trailers, like they'll do one for the pre-launch and then they'll do like another version of it in the second one.
Sure.
Just kind of play it by ear depending on, what the feedback is. And I mean, you can also even go as simple as like one teaser / trailer. Is it one of those things where it's mostly, is it all like music and screenshots, or does it also include like
no, it's motion. So I took the art panels and moved the art panels around, created some shaky cam effects. There's voiceover, there's music, and panel art. So and I once again tried to keep it precise, so it told the story and it's short, versus some long slow thing. In a world there were monsters and kids. Sometimes you get those like that, and it's like, this is just like, boom, we're right into it. Right. Like you try to intend for a TV commercial or something where it's like, hey, you got a limited amount of time with these people, with fans, and so give them the story right away. Because also, I often feel like I've done really amazing trailers. The 8th had full animation in it, right? I thought it was really powerful to bring people in. But the interesting thing is I've backed more and more books. I watch less and less trailers.
Oh, interesting.
As a backer, I watch less and less. Now, most of them I watch less and less because I realize that the trailer isn't what you get.
Yeah.
And so I'm really looking more at the pages and reading the storyline and realizing, oh, that's what I get. Because now I've backed over 170 projects, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm like, you're like, oh, I know what really shows up at my house is not the trailer.
Right. Oh, that makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that being said, I still think they're really meaningful, and they're a nice way for somebody to click and in under a minute go, wow, I get a glimpse at the art, get a feel of the story and the characters, and I think that's very meaningful.
For sure. Hey, Oliver.
Yo, Oliver.
Hey, welcome.
Oliver's rad. Anybody doesn't know Oliver, super cool dude. What they're doing at 656 is dope. Undead Border was great. The new horror they got. The new crypto. Pronounce it for me again, Wyman.
Cryptid Nulls.
Cryptid Nulls. Yes, I backed that as well.
Yeah, me too.
Doing great black and white stuff. These guys.
Oh yeah,
totally.
Yeah, they got some good stuff coming out.
Totally.
And they've got a great team. They're hilarious.
Yeah. No, they're so fun, and it's like the best. It's like if you want to go south of the border, these are some of the best guys. This is the best show in town.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Totally great guys. Yeah.
All right. This is looking like a fun campaign.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Sure. I'm digging it. I've already signed up on the email list. Everyone who hasn't, please do. You're going to want to.
And it'll go out as a secret perk link. I know sometimes those are confusing. I wish they weren't. And sometimes you will miss them. But there'll be a secret perk link that gets you the book and the ashcan with the ashcan for free.
Yeah. So when you release updates or you announce that I'm live now, you're going to have in the email those secret links, right? Is that right?
Sorry. Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll take the pre-launch email list and send a mass email to them with the secret perk link that gets you to that free ashcan experience, right, where you get the ashcan free with it. And somebody who missed that, that's okay. You can add on the ashcan, and there's other ways to get it, but this way gets to you gratis.
Cool. Yeah, looks good, man. I'm digging it. Definitely appreciate you coming on the show. I had a lot of fun, and I enjoy your work, and I'm looking forward to backing this one. Like I backed your previous.
Yeah, thank you for that, Wyman. Thank you for that.
Let's see. I am going to give you the floor. Would you share with the world how you can be found on social media?
Yes. So I can be found at Gifted Rebels. So it's either at Gifted Rebels or at Gifted Rebels Co. on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. I know it's a huge pile it is these days. Twitter, I'm the most active on as far as giving updates and the cool stuff I'm into and what's happening on the projects. I'm also on Instagram pumping out the stories as well, so people can come along for the ride. And there's also, you can find me Adam Lawson at Substack, where I'm going to be pumping out newsletters that have a lot of the behind the scenes process of making the comics, and the paid version will result in getting digital comics delivered, not only Kids and Monsters, but Nail and Goo and The Lazarus Effect and a few other things that are coming out in the future. So
sweet. As usual, you can find me on most social media, soon to be more. But you can check them out on my descriptions in the videos and streams I do. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Everyone in chat, you guys rock. Want to also thank everyone who watches this on replay. And a very special thanks.
Thank you all.
Our very special guest, Adam Lawson.
Thank you all. Absolutely appreciate it.
Again, get on the sign-up list so that you can get that special mini comic.
Yeah.
And we shall catch you on the next stream. Take it easy, y'all. Bye.
Yeah.
Guest that is the only person below White Holiday in the Comicsgate phone book. It's my favorite failed clone of Peter Sammetti. The YouTube WyzGyz. How you doing, Conrad? Welcome to the show.